धारे जय गिरिवर धारे गिरि यशोधनन्दन व्रजजनराञ्जन यशोधन व्रजजनराञ्जन यशोधनन्दन व्रजजनराञ्जन यशोधनन्दन यमुनतीरावनचारे जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Privaracharya Asadastaram Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Privaracharya Asadastaram Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Radha Radhanath ki Jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we'll be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavat Purana, and we'll be discussing Canto 4, Chapter 13, Text 28. Navide meha devan nam helanam vayam anu api yana grinanti bhagavan swan yadeva karma sakshinaha Na vidameha devanam elanam vayam anuapi yanna grinanti bhagan svan yadeva karma sakshinaha na vidameha devanam elanam vayam anuapi yanna grinanti bhagan svan yedeva karma sakshinaha. Repeat. Na vedameha devanam elanam vayamanupi yana grinanti bhagan svan yedeva karma sakshinaha. Pass to them. Say. Yadvidameha devanam elanam vayamanuapi yana grinanti bhagan svan yadevas karma sakshinaha. Like to try? Na vidameha devanam elanam vayam anuapi yana grinanti bhagan svan yedeva karma sakshinaha. Very good. Anyone else? Okay, let's do the word for word meaning. Na, not. Vidhama, can find. Iha, you can say iha, in this connection. Devanam, of the demigods. Helanam, insult. Insult and neglect. Vayam, we. Anu, minute. Gan, shares. Swan, own. Ye, who. Deva, the demigods. Karma sakshinaha, witness for the sacrifice. So the translation goes as follows. Dear King, we do not find any reason that the demigods should feel insulted or neglected in any way, but still the demigods, who are witnesses for the sacrifice, do not accept their share. We do not know why this is so. So you may repeat, Dear King, we do not find any reason that the demigods should feel insulted or neglected in any way, but still the demigods, who are witnesses for the sacrifice, do not accept their share. We do not know why this is so. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It is indicated herein that if there is negligence on the part of the priest, the demigods do not accept their share in sacrifices. Similarly, in devotional service, there are offenses known as seva aparad. Those who are engaged in worshipping the deity, Radha and Krishna, in the temple should avoid such offenses in service. The offenses in service are described in the Nectar of Devotion. If we simply make a show of offering service to the deity but do not care for the seva aparad, certainly Radha and Krishna will not accept offerings from such devotees. Devotees engaged in temple worship should not therefore manufacture their own methods, but should strictly follow the regulative principles of cleanliness, and then offerings will be accepted. A very short purport, but very powerful as well. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So, dear devotees, just try to explain something from this purport, verse and purport. So we find that there are three types of devotees that come to Krishna consciousness. Well, and they progress gradually. So the first devotee is called the neophyte devotee. The second is called the madhyam, or the middle, he's in the middle. And the third is the uttama, or he's basically the topmost devotee. So these three kinds of devotees, basically, they worship the deity. They come to the temple. And, it doesn't mean being on the altar and worshipping the deity, but you come to the temple, you interact with the deity, you pray to the Lord, like this. So that is also worshipping the deity. So they worship the deity and, they don't see anyone else. They only see the Lord and themselves. They don't see anyone else. So this is a neophyte devotee. Then the madhyam devotee is basically is there to make distinctions between the devotees, the non-devotees, the Lord, and like that. So then he can preach. If he sees everybody equally, then he cannot preach, right? So this is the madhyam devotee. So we all need to come up to this platform of the madhyam adhikari so that we can preach and we can go out, distribute books to the fallen conditioned souls and try to bring them to Krishna consciousness. So this is the madhyam adhikari. And the Uttama Adhikari is that person that is beyond, he's the highest type of devotee, and he sees everybody equally. He doesn't see anyone, as lower and higher. He sees everybody on an equal level. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, right, that the learned Brahmana, he sees, or the wise devotee, he sees the learned Brahmana, the cows, the dogs, and the dog eaters, all, equally. So, although we're meant to see equally like that, because we see the soul in everybody and the super soul in everyone, but also we need to make distinctions so that we can go out and preach, right? So, but the Uttama, he does not make distinctions, because he's on a very high level, very high platform, and he thinks that everyone's a devotee. Everyone's a devotee besides me. I'm so fallen. So, and it's not that he artificially thinks like that. He genuinely feels like that. That, everybody is a devotee besides me. So this is the Uttama Adhikari. So here about the, Seva Aparad, So in the beginning stages, we may worship the deity and cause offenses, right? Because we do not know any better. But this is called Seva Aparad, and as one actually gradually advances, then he, he basically gets more enlightened, and in that way he doesn't cause offenses. So, some Prabhupada makes, or the Srimad Bhagavatam actually draws a line very clearly, and he says, those who worship me in the form of the deity, but do not see the other devotees around them, is basically called like a pretender, a pashandi, a pretender, because he just neglects everybody else. He does not pay respect to anyone else, and he just sees the Lord and himself. That's the neophyte devotee. So I just want to read something from the Srimad Bhagavatam also, from the third canto actually, that we've been doing with His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. And this verse 22, I'll just read the Sanskrit and the purport. Yomam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanam ishvaram hitvarcham bhajate modhyad bhashmani eva juhoti sa. So the translation is, one who worships the deity of Godhead in the temple but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into fire. So the purport is as follows. It is stated clearly herein that the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his plenary expansion of Supersoul means Paramatma in the heart, is present in all living entities. The living entities have 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in every body, both as the individual soul and the super soul. Since the individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, in that sense the Lord is living in every body, and as super soul the Lord is also present as a witness. In both cases, the presence of God is in every living entity is essential. Therefore, Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gopramanande. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect but who does not feel the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity and everywhere else are in the mode of ignorance. So I'll just comment on this. So we find that there are many I won't say transcendentalists, but religionists basically, who worship the Lord, right, in the temple, and worship God by His name, form qualities like this, and they glorify Him as well, but they fail to see the Lord in everybody, in everyone's heart, as in animals, in birds and beasts, in everything. They fail to see the Lord, right? And this is because of the lack of education, and also because they don't follow scripture, right? Because no scripture will tell you to go and kill and eat, right? So basically in the Bible it states, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. But we see that killing is going on, right? And millions of animals are killed every day on every continent of the world. And this is so sad because we'll get karma for that. It's either collective karma or individual karma. Individual karma in that, if you eat meat, then you have to take the body of an animal, like a tiger that, eats meat. So in that way you get individual karma. And collective karma is, we find that there's so many climate change and all of these things. And we are actually experiencing, so much of tsunamis and earthquakes and things like this. So this is collective karma. So when Mother Earth, basically, Bhumi Devi, she cannot handle the sin of the people, then she basically, she's in the form of a cow, basically, and she moves around, and in this way, the earth, is basically, then there's earthquakes and there's tsunamis, there's all of these natural disasters that happen. And this is called collective karma because, everybody's, what percentage of the people are not eating meat? Everybody is basically engaged in eating animal. So in this way, and people cannot live without animals, on their plate. Some people actually, they shun vegetarianism and they cannot handle, vegetables. So in this way, people are so engrossed or so, I'd say, conditioned in eating animals that they cannot do without it. So in this way, basically, there's collective karma. When everybody is engaged in killing and eating, then there's collective karma. And then this is when the natural disasters happen. And we see, on every continent, basically, all these natural disasters are happening. If it finishes off in Africa, then it starts in America, it starts in Asia, in India, like this. So, it's going on. And therefore, the main principle is that the ABC of spiritual life is, to understand that we are not this body, but we are spirit, soul, and God is in everyone's heart. Right? So if we miss this foundational stage, then, whatever religious activities we perform is basically null and void because we miss the foundational. When you're building a house, you first lay the foundation, right? And then the house can stand. But if you don't have a foundation, the house will fall apart. So similarly, this foundational or the ABCs of spiritual life, we should know that first. Understand that we are not this body, but we are spirit, soul. And once that is, if we don't have that knowledge, then whatever spiritual activities we do will basically is just null and void. So we have to understand this fundamental aspect of Krishna consciousness, the ABC of spiritual life, that we are part and parcel of the Lord, not only me, and not only, the people around me, but also the animals, plants, trees, like this. So therefore, we should offer worship to the Lord, understanding this, right? So a neophyte person comes into the temple, as I said, they see the Lord, they worship the deity, they offer prayers. So offering prayers is one of the 9 processes of devotional service. So they offer prayers to the Lord, and and then they just go. So they do not see anything around them. So it's just them and the deity. That's their worship. So so when they become more advanced, then they see, yes, oh, there's the devotees. Let me interact with them. Let me offer, some service. Let me try to understand what this philosophy is all about, what this Krishna consciousness is all about. And when they try to understand what Krishna consciousness is all about, then they become more advanced, and then they climb higher and higher onto the ladder, all the while also chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll just give you one incident. There was one person, so I was many years serving at the book table, and there was one person who would just like walk into the temple and, see the Lord and walk out. Every day they would come, walk in, see the Lord, and walk out. They would come, walk in, see the Lord, and walk out. Right? Not even paying any respects to Srila Prabhupada or even to the Lord. They just come, just see the Lord, like I'm the boss, That mentality. See the Lord, okay, right, so the Lord went. So this was happening for quite a number of years. And then eventually, the person came and looked around, saw the Lord, saw Srila Prabhupada, and then they saw other devotees offering obeisances to the Lord, offering obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, and then that person eventually he started following suit, right? So offered obeisances, then offered obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, and like this walked out. So, gradually like this would come, offer obeisances to Prabhupada, offer obeisances to the Lord, and, say something, pray to the Lord, whatever, see the Lord and go. So this started happening. And then eventually, this person bought a set of beads and started to chant on the beads. And in a very, so when the first person first came into the temple, very somber mood, very, you could see they were going through a lot of problems, and their face, the face is the index to the mind, so you can read a person's face. But slowly, gradually, whilst they came and started offering obeisances and going, so then eventually broke out into a smile, and then start seeing the devotees around, and communicating with the devotees, chanting Hare Krishna, and in this way, gradually, the person start to evolve in his Krishna consciousness. So we shouldn't judge anyone, because we don't know what difficulties the person is going through, and coming to the temple to take shelter of Krishna. We shouldn't judge in this way, but obviously we would like try to preach to the person at first, and the person would not actually want to hear anything we say, So we'd just like walk out, not even take Chanamrit, right? So eventually this person, he started, put his hand out, served him Chanamrit, and in this way, so gradually they started to accept the principles of Krishna consciousness and make their lives perfect. So, like this, the person started to chant Hare Krishna, eventually got initiated, and is situated in a good position now. So let me tell you one more story, right? There's lots. When you're at the book table, you encounter lots of weird things, and as well as nice things, So one person came in and he says, I think Jai Prabhu was giving the morning class, and he walked in and he says, he came, looked around, I am God. And he turned to everyone and he says, I am God. And Jai Prabhu told him, okay, God, sit there and listen to the class. So the person sat and he was listening to the class. So at the at the end of it, he became friends with Jai Prabhu. He came to Jai Prabhu and he started speaking. And then there was some interaction, and Jai Prabhu preached to him. And eventually he started coming, every Sundays, and then he would listen to class and he would started chanting Hare Krishna. So this is how devotees evolve in their Krishna consciousness, right? And, so much so that one person actually, he wrote it, there was a sticker on his car, I am God, and I am, then he started taking all the God's names, like I am Shiva, I am Krishna, I am this. So his whole car was filled with all of these stickers. I don't know if any of you remember this, but there was this one person that used to come like this. So so we have some very weird characters coming in. They're also searching, everybody is searching for Krishna, but they're looking for Krishna in the wrong places. Everyone is searching for happiness, but they're looking in the wrong places. So until and unless they come in contact with a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, via his books, right, then only will they actually get the seed of bhakti within their heart. And when the seed of bhakti is planted within their heart, then it'll slowly and gradually fructify with a watering process and the sunlight of Krishna consciousness. By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and by association of devotees, gradually, that creeper of bhakti will now blossom, and it'll actually reach higher and higher heights until it rests onto the lotus feet of Krishna. So these are some of my Sankirtan stories. And, if anyone else would like anything they'd like to share, you're most welcome to do so. Before I continue again, since we're on this topic. Anything? Any Sankirtan story as well? Yashodarani? Yeah, so like this, we see that people are on different stages and different levels of Krishna consciousness. So we'll continue with the purport. If without this preliminary knowledge, right, of the Lord's omnipresence, one simply attaches himself to the rituals in a temple, church, or mosque, it is as if he were offering butter into ashes rather than into the fire. One offers sacrifices by pouring clarified butter into a fire and chanting Vedic mantras. But even if there are Vedic mantras and all conditions are favorable, if the clarified butter is poured on ashes, then such a sacrifice will be useless. In other words, a devotee should not ignore any living entity. The devotee must know that in every living entity, however insignificant he may be, even in an ant, God is present. And therefore, every living entity should be kindly treated and should not be subjected to any violence. In modern civilized society, slaughterhouses are regularly maintained and supported by a certain type of religious principle. But without knowledge of the presence of God in every living entity, any so-called advancement of spiritual civilization, either spiritual or material, is to be understood as being in the mode of ignorance. So here Srila Prabhupada says that actually any type of worship without the knowledge of this aspect of the Supreme Lord being situated in everyone's heart is basically in the mode of ignorance, right? So we should rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, basically. So I just want to read, this chapter is entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila. So I just want to read the translation to the verses and gain some knowledge from that. So Devahuti is basically asking her son, who is Lord Kapila, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to instruct her on the processes of devotional service. And then here it's being described. Text 3, Devahuti continued, "My dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and people in general, the continual process of birth and death, for by hearing of such calamities we may become detached from the activities of this material world." So here the Devahuti is asking the Lord, please describe about birth and death and all of these things, because most people in this world have fear of death, right? Everybody fears to die, right? But unless and until you're a devotee, then you don't fear death. Please also describe eternal time, which is representation of your form, and by those influences people, and by whose influences, in general, people engage in the performance of pious activities. My dear Lord, you are like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of conditional life of the living entities, because their eyes of knowledge are not open. They are sleeping eternally in the darkness within your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged in actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued. Right? So we see people are busily engaged in ignorance, basically, running around, doing their work, but they are so fatigued. They appear very fatigued, but they are basically in ignorance, and they're basically sleeping in the hands of the witch called Maya, in illusion, right? Not knowing what is what and why am I doing this for. Sri Maitreya continued, "O best among the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows." Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, replied, "O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of different qualities of the executor. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. The worship of deity in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the inebriety of fruitive activities, his devotional service is in the mode of goodness." 11 and 12 together. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attached to the hearing the transcendental names, qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart, just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean. Such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation, salokya, shasti, samipya, sarupya, or ekatva, even though they may be offered by the Supreme Lord. So there's 5 different types of liberation, right? Salokya is meant to when you are liberated, you live on the same planet of the Lord. Shasti, the same qualities of the Lord. Samipya, I forget what that is, but Sarupya is the same bodily features of the Lord, and Ekatva is to become one with the Lord. So the devotee does not accept any of these kinds of liberation, but the devotee just wants to serve Krishna unconditionally. So by attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the 3 modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage as is the Lord. A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious without material profit, without excessive violence, one should regularly perform one's devotional service. So here Maharaj was explaining that excessive violence means that, in order to maintain your body, you have to eat, right? And you have to. So we eat plants and vegetables, like vegetarianism. So then there is some violence involved, right? But it's not as gross as killing an animal, right? And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or little water, I will accept. So when you're offering this to Krishna, so Krishna takes the karma away from that. So that karmic activity is nullified. Krishna takes away that karma. So in that way, one does not commit violence. The devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipful paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual. The pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas. He should be compassionate to the poor and make friendship with persons who are his equals, but all his activities should be executed under regulations and with control of the senses. The devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters and should always utilize his time in chanting the holy names of the Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple. And although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing the name or hearing of my transcendental qualities. As the chariot of air carries the aroma from its source and immediately carries the sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul who is equally present everywhere. I am present in every living entity as a Super Soul. If someone neglects or disregards the Super Soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. One who worships the deity in the temple but does not know the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into fire. That's the verse and purport I read. 23. One who offers me respects but is envious of bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of inimical behavior towards other living entities. So this was talking about, killing other living entities and eating, but is worshipping the Supreme Lord nonetheless. So that is a separatist mentality. My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the temple, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. As a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and the living entities because of a different outlook. So here I just want to comment that, Krishna causes fear in the living entities and therefore there's fear of death. Why there's fear of death? Because they don't know, what's after death, And most people, because they engage in sinful activities, subconsciously they know there is suffering after death because, of the hellish planets. And they have been there before. Some of them have visited the hellish planets, right, before, and therefore they have this fear of death. But when they come into this material world and they continue doing sinful activities, maybe out of ignorance, mostly, out of ignorance, But even if somebody offers them spiritual knowledge, they won't take to it. So this is the fear that they have. What's going to happen after death? Nobody knows, right? So this is the fear that they have. But as devotees, we know what's going to happen. Because Krishna clearly, he states it. After death, you come to me, or you actually, if you haven't finished up your spiritual life, you take birth in a devotee family and you continue from where you have left off. So in this way, the devotee is not fearful of death because he knows his destination is glorious. So the living entities are superior to animate objects, O Blessed Mother, and among them the living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the senses of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. So we see that, it goes from, so here the living entities are basically being described, right, and how from one living entity to the next, and how, the person, that living entity who has developed the sense of hearing is the best, like that. So, better than those living entities who have perceived sound are those who can distinguish between one from the other. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower set of teeth. And better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings. So basically, the human being is situated on the topmost rung because the human being has intelligence, right, and can decipher right from wrong. So even among the human beings, there's gradations. That those living entities or those human beings who act like animals are on the lowest stage because they compared to animals. You're a human being, but you act like an animal, right? So you're on the lowest stage. And then those living entities that perform some humanitarian activity, they are better. Those who are religious are better still. And those who are transcendental, on the transcendental platform, who are spiritualists, are even better than those who are religionists. So in this way, there's gradations of human beings as well, right? And Krishna says that those who worship me, as I am, 2-arm form, holding a flute, bluish in color, complexion, is the best. So here we have it, devotees. So if you come to Krishna consciousness, you're the best living entity on this planet, right? And also in various places he states that they are the most intelligent class of men. Right? So we'll stop there. If there is anyone would like to contribute, you're most welcome to do so. Do you have any questions? That's all. Yes, Madhurya. Yes, Prabhu. Get the mic. 1 second, wait for the mic. Because it's an online class also.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Just a question on humility. You've just described all the living beings and how they're gradated, how they go up to basically the devotee being top of the rung. If we're looking at the world like that, how do we still maintain humility to be lower than a blade of grass?
Yes. How do we maintain our humility to be lower than the blade of grass? So basically, although the devotee is on the Madhyam platform, and he makes distinctions between those who are non-devotees and those who are higher than him, and he's on the intermediate level, but still he has to maintain humility. So in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, giving this verse, the third verse of the Shasastikam. Trinadapi sunichaina taropi sahisuna amani namanadena kirtaniya sadahari. That one should think oneself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, right? And lower than the grass, basically. So this is for one's internal development. One's internal development, right, in spiritual life. One wants to raise himself higher and higher. So for his internal development, he should think like this, that, I'm... and we should also feel that, basically, not that we are useless, but we should give all honor to others, and we should not accept honor for ourselves. That's humility. When we think we are great, we are greater than other living entities, other people, then that is not humility, right? But we should respect everybody. Every living entity we should respect, right? But we should also at the same time not think that we are greater than everyone. So if you respect all living entities, then you won't kill them and eat them, right? Like Narad Muni, he was preaching to a person that was killing animals, half killing them. Right? Migrari, the hunter, he would kill them, half kill them, and he would basically get some enjoyment watching them die. So Narad Muni went up to this hunter and he told him, why don't you, kill them fully? Like, why are you leaving them half killed? Kill them fully, because in your next life, you know what's going to happen to you? And he started preaching to him, like, the same thing's going to happen to you, and how would you feel if you're in that situation, right? So for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So in this way, Narad Muni started preaching to him, and then Narad Muni told him, okay, you chant the names of the Lord, and because you're killing, you should, because you should chant Rama, Rama, Rama. So the hunter said, but I can't chant that. Then he says, okay, why don't you chant Mara, Mara, Mara? That means killing. Right? And eventually, by chanting Mara, 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 he came to Rama, 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 like that, So it switched, the mantra switched, and that's how his heart became purified. So purified that he was not able to even step on an ant. When Narad Muni came to visit him the next time, he was hopping from one side to the other, and Narada asked him, why are you, you're so ecstatic to see me, you're dancing? And he says, no. He says, no, my dear Lord, I'm actually trying to avoid the ants on my path. So in this way, to offer all respects to every living entity, like that. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mataji.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You want to say something? Okay. Hare Krishna.